the talk of the town, like it was last off season too, is going to be Aaron Rodgers, right?
Okay.
He's going to come out of his darkness retreat like Puxatawny Phil, the groundhog. He's going to be coming out of the darkness. Yep. Oh yeah. Hey, that's as close as I can get.
Hey, just keep going. Just keep going. I work best I think best in the dark here.
Hey, Aaron over. I think that he's going to be in the darkness. He's going to have his ayahuasca, whatever it's pronounced, and I think that for me is an interesting pick because I think that he still is a 4-time MVP. 2 of those seasons being recently, and yes, of course, quarterbacks into age, right? All that's like eventually. But Tom Brady was able to win Super Bowls at 45. Aaron's like 38. And now, of course, Tom Brady's that's a very unique situation. But I could see Aaron feeling a bit like, hey, Brady's over here, like being the greatest of all time. I've won 4 MVPs. I've won a Super Bowl. I have to go back. Like, I could see maybe, and of course, this is all maybe. I could see some level of drive coming out of the darkness, right? When he leaves the darkness, him having that like this is serious, right? And because it was already turning around at the end of the season, last season, it was already turning around. Of course, they lost the last game. Hate to see it, but I could see a situation where he joins a team with a lot of talent, and frankly, a very similar situation to the Bucks, to the Tom Brady leaving the Patriots, going to the Bucks. The Bucks team, they had built the team, they were a quarterback away. Plug in Brady, they win a Super Bowl, go to the NFC Championship or whatever the division. They made the playoffs all 3 years with Brady. Of course, one of those years this past year wasn't as good, but like that's happened there. Imagine Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. I think any other team but the Jets, like I can't think of another team that quite fits it.
Okay.
Because I think the Raiders trading for him. Well, the Raiders have too many holes. In my mind. I could see Devontae basically. I feel like it's going back to square one for Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. That now they're back together, but they're in Vegas this time. Woo! You know what? They don't have to play in the cold, right? I guess that's one better. I mean, I'm not as often anyway. That's one thing. If you want the Vegas home field instead of Lambeau, sure. But other than that, it's about the same. But join this Jets team with a head coach everyone likes, Robert Saleh. A lot of people like Robert Saleh. I like Robert Saleh, right? They have the defensive rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. The guy who would have been the offensive rookie of the year runner-up if he didn't get hurt, Breece Hall. They had 2 offensive rookie of the year candidates. Just one of them got hurt. I could see, and if they can, that team is a quarterback away. That's what we're all saying. They almost made the playoffs running the gambit with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White. And that team looked good with those 3 dudes. Okay.
Well, the team did. The offense, not so much. But.
Yeah, exactly. The team did. And I could, so that's for me a situation where okay, they can think, F them picks. Their team is good, right? They're not in win now mode necessarily because but they can win now. They easily could, right? Luckily, a lot of their players are young, but that's for me is a situation. Good quarterback, proven record. If he can take it serious, if he can be in it, which Aaron can be weird sometimes, we all know this. But if he could be in it, then that for me that feels like Brady to the Bucks, Stafford to the Rams. Does not feel like Wilson to the Broncos. That we had our questions about with talent-wise. Right. For me, this Jets team has a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, and I don't think they'd have to give up as much, given some of these other trades.
Okay, so
thoughts?
I think
lot
the Jets,
on that. Yeah.
Hey, listen, a lot of people are saying the Jets because it does make sense. They have young talent on both sides of the ball, but frankly, I mean, when I look at the Jets, I mean, who's Aaron Rodgers going to be throwing the ball if he went there, right? They got the good running back, but for him to
rookie
go
of the
there,
year, Garrett Wilson.
They probably have to cut Corey Davis, who's getting paid $11 million to not be productive.
That's true.
So well, I'm just thinking okay, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to go there and he's going to have less weapons than what he currently has in Green Bay. Maybe I'm missing something on the depth chart of the Jets, but when I look, I just don't see it. Right? Maybe I'm missing somebody. I don't know.
Offensive rookie of the year, Garrett Wilson.
Oh, okay, so we're going to stick with
is a wide receiver, but yeah, it's after that. After that, yeah, he's a wide receiver. Yeah.
Oh.
No, because that's the other guy. They got
wow,
both.
okay.
They got
Okay.
both.
Okay, so
but I mean,
so they
after
have a
him,
guy.
yeah, there's not.
They have a guy.
After
Okay.
him, there may not be as much.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have a guy, and then so maybe it could work. I actually, when I crunched my numbers of lists, I have him with the Raiders. I really do. I think that.
Yeah.
I think that
I think it's
partially
second place for me. Yeah.
the Raiders just deciding to cut bait from Derek Carr like before the season even ends felt like really weird, and the connection with Devontae Adams, but also like, I think that Waller's still going to be there. Josh Jacobs is a free agent, but they could this. This is the best running game in the league last year, right? So what I think it's a better situation offensively, not as an entire unit, right? But also you go to the Jets and Salah's a defensive coach, right? So does Aaron Rodgers want to go play for a defensive coach now? McDaniels hasn't been particularly good as a head coach. I'm not I'm not going to argue with anything like that, but he is an offensive guy. So is Aaron going to go to and play for a defensive guy? I don't know. He never really has. He hasn't in his entire career. So I like the Raiders. It just is funny because like if you're in the darkness, then the Raiders they're already in the darkness. Like they literally, I think their end zone is called the black hole at their stadium. So like he very well might be just getting acclimated to the color, just so because he's already made his decision, right? I think it's pretty obvious that we've made it. I mean, I've made it clear that I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers guy. But
some people had them as their number one quarterback before the season. I think
some people did.
So that's why I gotta think differently.
The back end, but yeah, I think they were saying some shit like that. But yeah, no, I mean, I see him with the Raiders, but it's a good place to start, and I'm glad he started there because like it's once that domino falls, I feel like it's kind of like. Now everybody else can say, okay, because there's going to be
once he leaves the darkness,
there's going to be plenty of teams who are going to be, if he says I want to trade, and he says a list of teams, every single one of those teams will be calling in a sense of like saying, hey, this is what we can do, this is what we, we're going to have to cut these guys, we'll trade you these guys, we'll make the cap space. It's not going to be pretty because he's got such a big contract, but somewhere the Jets are sort of, I think, middle of the pack in terms of cap space, and they would have to make some major moves they'd have to like either redesign some contracts on the defensive side. They'd have to cut some guys who are making like a lot of money that are not being very productive.